Hey guys, welcome. How you doing? Do pop your videos on. Always lovely to see faces. Hey lovelies. I'm just going to mute everyone just for background noise. Why as I let everyone in. Hello. Good morning. Good evening, Australian crew. Good morning, UK. I don't think we'll have any of our Americans with us. It's a bit early for them. Do pop your video on if you're comfy. It's always lovely to see faces. Do say hi in the chat. We'll be using the chat as we go through for questions, comments. Brilliant. Lovely. I knew this was going to be a popular one. Fantastic. Right, we are 2 minutes past, so we're going to get cracking. Hey Jackie, hey Nicole, thanks for saying hello in the chat. So we've got the lovely Laura with us. I'm so excited that she agreed to come and do our masterclass on copywriting. It's definitely an area that you guys have shared with me you need a little bit more support on. I know we've done a little bit of copywriting. We've talked about sales pages. We've talked a lot about how to structure your website. But what we haven't done is go into detail about how you write that copy that actually helps people connect, take action, and ultimately that's what we want them to do, right? So Laura, her business, her company is all about copywriting. And I love the way that she aligns with us. She's not into icky sales. She's not into that kind of sleazy sales style, so she really aligns with all of us at wanting to just serve our people and connect with them. Hey Joe, hey Mary, thanks for saying hi. Just letting everyone in, a few people coming in now. Okay, I'm on record, so don't worry if you need to watch replay, it will be uploaded to the members area. As always, ask questions in the chat. Laura will keep an eye on that. I'm going to be quiet because you know I take over, so I'm going to like mute myself and be quiet and make sure Laura has the floor. And so yeah, amazing, enjoy, and I will come back to you at the end.
Yay. Hi everyone. Yeah, so Kelly's given me a little quick intro there. So my name's Laura McDowell. Might know some of you guys, but for those of us that don't know each other, I am a professional copywriter. I've been writing copy for probably the last decade or so. I always worked with kind of big multi-six, multi-seven-figure entrepreneurs. In the last year in particular, I've stopped writing so much copy for other people. And just because I'm really, really passionate about helping other business owners to really find your voice and to just kind of sharing everything that I've learned and everything that I know, just to help, help other business owners just to write really powerful copy, but in a really non-salesy way. Because I think copywriting traditionally is an industry. There's lots of kind of bro marketing, lots of guys telling you how to use NLP to trick people and all of that stuff. And I'm the complete opposite of that. So for me, it's all about using your words to really just get under the skin of your ideal clients and just share what you know and share what you're feeling and show up with useful stuff that then more naturally starts to convert because people just buy into who you are. So what we're going to do today, we are talking obviously about copy that converts. So I've got a checklist for you. It's really, really simple. So what I'm going to do in a minute is share my screen. We're going to work through the checklist together. And it's a copy editing checklist, because I think if you sit down and try to write copy from scratch that's really amazing, it's actually really hard, and it can just be like a massive, like the overwhelm kicks in, doesn't it? So actually by editing your copy, what we can do is take your, take a blog or take an email or just get it out of your head first. And then these are the steps to kind of polish it up and make it loads stronger, just so that it really, really starts to convert for you. So what I'm going to do is, where's my mouse gone? I'm just going to pop a link into the chat window there for you. Hopefully you can see that. So if you want a copy of the checklist, you're very welcome to grab it now so that you can follow along, or get it at the end, whatever works for you. You'll be able to just get instant access to that using that link. And then, like I say, we're going to work through it step by step. So the stuff that we're talking about today, you can use this structure for literally anything you write. So it's brilliant for your posts, your social media stuff, if you write blogs, if you send emails, if you've got an email list, but it also applies to your sales copy, to your website copy. And once you start practicing this, and once you start using this checklist on a regular basis, you just start doing it naturally. So over time, as you write your first draft, it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So that's what we're doing today. And like I say, all really, really aligned. Nothing salesy, nothing pushy, nothing that makes you feel a bit icky. Is my aim for today. So I've got the chat window open. If you've got any questions at all as we go through today, pop them in the chat. Any comments, any observations, I would absolutely love to know. And then we can get back together at the end as well. And if you've got any specific questions, we can work through them in depth together. Okay, so Let me share my screen. If Kelly can just give me permission to do that, please. Thank you. Let's have a little look. Can I do that now? Nope. Let's have a look. Actually, I'd love to know before we get started, if anybody wants to just let me know in the chat what it is that you do. So I'm guessing we've got, maybe you're a celebrant, maybe you're a venue, maybe you're a photographer or a florist in the wedding industry. I'd love to know. Wedding planner. I have lots of wedding planner clients. Florist, amazing. Perfect. Venue, stylist. Okay, so you're all selling directly to the couples, to the kind of bride and groom, venue, celebrants. Amazing. Do you know what? I actually got ordained in America so that I could marry my sister when she got married. So obviously I'm not a celebrant or anything like it, but it's just such a magical thing to do, isn't it? To be able to be there on people's big days. Caterer, venue, cool. Okay, amazing. So let me share my screen and we'll open up the checklist and then we can start working through it together. So there it is. I've made it a little bit bigger. So hopefully, how do I move this? Let me move that up to the top. So hopefully you guys can all see that. Like I say, if you want to grab your copy as well, you're very welcome to do it and we can follow along. And I will check in with the chat periodically as well, just as we go through. Okay. So there's 5 steps to this checklist. I've got a little bonus for you at the end as well. So when we sit down to write our copy, so especially if you're writing a blog or an email or a sales page, the beginning and the end are the hardest bits to write. The beginning is just like trying to get into something is really, really hard. And especially, I don't know if any of you guys have a little bit of perfectionism. I don't. I'm the opposite. If anything, I can be a little bit sloppy. But if we do have those kind of slight perfectionism tendencies, then what can happen is we get so caught up on writing the opening paragraphs or the start of the sales page or the start of the blog, and we kind of want that to be perfect before we move on, that we get stuck. So what I would always suggest that you do when you sit down to start writing something new, don't just ignore the beginning and ignore the end. Forget they even exist and just focus on getting the meat of it down. So like the bulk of it, the middle of it, that stuff that you really want to say. Then we can come back and make sure afterwards that the opening is really strong to hook people in. We can make sure that the ending is really strong with a call to action there. We're going to talk more about calls to action, but I just think just focus on the middle. So maybe you're writing a blog, maybe you're a florist and you're writing a blog, which is about 5 ways to find the perfect bouquet for your wedding. So we don't worry about the start, we just go straight into it. Maybe you're a venue and you're talking about 5 ways to find, to choose the perfect venue or whatever it is. Maybe it's a sales page and you're sharing what you do and how people can get it. Like, don't worry about the opening headline. Don't worry about the start of it. Just get into it and write the meat. So there's a little bit of a structure here. So the start is generally about 10 to 20% where we're just hooking them in. The end is 10% as well, where we're giving them the next step, but we just want to focus on getting the body of it written first. Please don't try and edit yourself as you go. Because like I say, if you try and write a sentence or a paragraph and then edit it before you move on to the next bit, it's just so easy to get stuck. And overthinking is a big, I'm sure lots of us in here, I've definitely been there, where you'll start writing a blog or a sales page or an email and then you overthink it and then you second guess it and then you stop. You either just stop writing or you delete what you've written and you don't share it. I think we've all been there. So a massive part of this for me is don't edit it as you go. Don't judge yourself. Just get it down. Just get something on the page. Get the words written, even if that little voice in your head is telling you it's a load of crap. Just get it down on the page. Then we can start to apply the 5 steps here to start polishing it up, making it load stronger so that it's going to start converting for you. So once you've got your words on the page, let's work through these 5 steps together. So the first thing to do is to read it aloud. And I realize that that sounds ludicrously simple, but please stick with me, because what happens is there's no scientific evidence to support this, by the way, this is just my hunch, that when you write something, so say you've written an email and you read it back in your own mind, your eyes see what your brain thinks you've written, obviously. When you read it aloud and you listen, your ears pick up on the stuff that your eyes have missed. So where you repeat yourself, where you've missed words out. So I wrote an email this morning, our copy fix email that goes out on a Monday or a Tuesday, And for example, when I read it aloud, I realized that there were a couple of sentences that just didn't read very well, or I'd missed the letter K out in the word looking. So reading it aloud, it takes no longer than reading it in your own head. But I promise, if you just take that alone away from this, you will start to hear where you can make your copy stronger and stronger. And I genuinely read aloud every single word that I write. I've got an office to myself, even just like emails to the team, but especially like social posts, and it just starts to get stronger. So you've got your brain dump there, and we go back to the start and we read it aloud, and it's just getting intentional, listening to the words that you're saying and then editing it as you go along. So are you repeating yourself? So maybe you're just saying the same word over and over, and when you read it aloud, you're just like, yeah, I am repeating myself, so you need to change the words. Maybe more commonly what you're doing is you're saying the same thing twice, just in slightly different ways. And it makes your copy a little bit waffly, a little bit rambling, and actually you only need to say it once. So when you read it aloud, this stuff just becomes way more apparent. Maybe you're missing words out. So I always miss out words like to and the and in, and like those little joining words, because when you're typing quite often, my brain goes quicker than my fingers. So you might find that you're missing words out. You read it in your head, you don't notice them. Read it aloud and you hear them. Maybe you're just starting to ramble, to waffle, to go off topic, and you'll start to hear actually where you're going to lose people's attention and where you just need to make it a little bit more concise. You'll hear if your tongue trips up when you say something out loud, you can guarantee that your reader's eyes are also going to trip over that sentence or that paragraph. And it's your job as a business owner, when you're writing anything, to kind of grease the slides, to kind of get your reader to your call to action at the end. So we want to make this as easy as possible for your readers to consume. Because if they don't get to the end, if they don't get to your call to action, it's never going to convert for you. So when you read it aloud, you'll hear if your sentence is a bit weird, if it's just hard to read, and then you can change it. And obviously you'll spot any typos, any silly mistakes where you've said there instead of there, and all those things that we all do. So that's the first thing to do. Read it aloud and just get mindful of these little bits and pieces, and instantly your copy is going to be stronger for it, literally instantly. So that's the first part of this. Then what we want to do is start to make it punchier. Because again, if our copy is just a little bit waffling, if it's not really getting to the point, if it's just hard to consume, it won't convert. They won't get to your call to action at the end. So we need to get honest with ourselves as well. If it's boring, like if you get bored reading it, you've written it, there's no way people are going to stay engaged. So by making it shorter and snappier, it's just way more likely to keep people reading, to hold people's interest, so that we can then start to create desire and get them taking action at the end. So a really, really simple hack here. If you've got long sentences, simply take out the commas and replace them for full stops. Easy. So you take a long sentence and you make it short. And it is okay to start sentences with and but, and so, and because. I think that, I don't know about you guys, but certainly when I was at school, we were taught that writing is this more formal way of communicating, and there's grammar rules, but that's not copy. Copy is a one-to-one conversation between you and another human being who is sitting on their sofa, reading your blog, your post, your email, your sales page on their phone. It's a one-to-one chat. And if it's too formal, if the tone's just too formal, if it's a little bit dry or a little bit like, think Bridgerton, for anybody that's watched Bridgerton, if it's just a little bit too formal, because that's how we were taught to write, it's not our fault, but it's never going to connect. And if it doesn't connect, it's never going to convert, especially if you have a background. I'd love to know, for anybody that's on, if you have a background in education, so if you've got any ex-teachers, if you have a background in legal, so if you worked in the legal profession or just corporate generally, then quite often what happens, I know with people that I work with, is if you've done 20 years in the classroom, or you've done 20 years in a law firm or in a corporate environment, we kind of get used to writing in this more formal way, which is great in that environment. But as a business owner, where you're trying to connect with brides and grooms, it's going to repel people. So what we want to do is just make it much less formal. We want it to, like I say, feel like a conversation. So it's okay to start sentences with and but, and so, and because. It's okay to have an incomplete, grammatically incomplete sentence with 3 words in it. It's okay. In fact, it's brilliant because that's how we talk. And this is a one-to-one conversation. So like I say, if you've got long sentences there, take out the commas, put full stops in. And this might bump up, it might trigger some little mindset stuff because it feels, when you start writing in this different way, writing copy, it might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it doesn't make you look stupid if it's grammatically incorrect. Does that make sense? They're not errors. It makes for really, really powerful copy. You just got to try it, I think. So you can take out the commas, you can replace them with full stops. You can break up long sentences just by putting 2 hyphens in, just to break it down, because we just want to keep people's eye traveling forward, and it makes a big sentence look much easier to digest. You can use ... to break things up. And then in terms of making it shorter and snappier, just take out any excess words that you don't really need. So the point of this is not to edit out your voice. So if you're a florist, or if you're quite creative maybe, and your natural style is a little bit more kind of poetic and a little bit more flowing, then that's amazing. We don't want to edit that out, but at the same time, our copy does need to be concise. The pesky word is the word that, so that you can. It just needs to say so you can. You know, look for the word that and take it out, because that is the ultimate filler word that you just don't need. And it makes your copy sluggish. It makes your copy slow. All these excess words, they just kind of like weigh it down. And what we really want is for our copy to feel dynamic and full of energy. So it's little things like, instead of saying you will be given, you'll get, or I will. So in this blog, I will show you how to do, you know, choose the perfect flowers for your wedding. You'll discover. It's just like, how can you make it more concise? How can you make it shorter and snappier? But like I say, the simplest thing to do in all of this is really just to take those commas out and look at breaking those sentences down. So read it aloud, and then we want to start making it shorter and snappier. Let me just have a little quick in with the chat. Let's where are we? Overthinkers. I know we all overthink, don't we? I read backwards too. That's really interesting. I've never tried doing that. So true. If I read something to my partner, often makes no sense. Yeah, exactly. It just makes such a difference. It is hard to change, but the thing with copy is that you never stop learning. It's all it's just practice. The more you learn this stuff and then mindfully practice it, the better your copy gets. Like, no copy is ever perfect. If you're aiming for perfectionism with this, then we're always going to struggle. Yeah, and I think especially, like I say, if you do come from corporate, or you know it's too formal, like I see some stuff on social media, particularly from ex-teachers, and I love these people, but there's a danger. I'm going to be completely honest here, it's slightly controversial. There's a danger you sound preachy. There's a danger you sound like a know-it-all, because as a teacher, you're used to imparting this knowledge onto people. But if it's got that slight telling people what to do undertone, none of us want to be told what to do. Okay, so let's move on. So the next thing to do, so we've read it aloud, we've started to listen to where we can make it better, we've started to make it shorter and punchier. The next thing we want to do is start breaking it up, because this is especially important for social media posts and for emails, and for everything actually, for blogs, but especially for stuff that people are going to be consuming on a phone, which is most of us now, let's be honest. What looks to you like just a paragraph, if you're on your laptop or you're writing in Word or Pages or whatever, can completely fill the screen on a phone. And if your copy looks like hard work, if somebody clicks to read your blog or email and it looks like this wall of words, you're putting barriers in your own way of that copy converting. The white space is as important as the words. We need to break this down. We need to make it super easy for people to read. So it's much easier for people to scroll through longer copy than it is to try and wade through big blocks of text. So the easiest way to do this, if you've got a long paragraph, check stuff on your phone. So when you've written your email, you've written your blog, check it on your phone. If you've got something that looks quite long, just press enter and put it onto a new line. Really, really simple. But you can take a paragraph, and instead of having this block of text that looks like hard work, just press enter and get it onto 3 or 4 new lines. And yes, it'll look longer, but like I said, it's loads easier for people to scroll than it is to try and absorb these big blocks of text. So just be mindful of the white space. There's some other ways in there for you as well that you can break it down. So you can add subheadings. So if you've got a blog, just by adding in these little subheadings, it just breaks it down and it makes it easier to read. You can add numbers or bullet points or steps, you know, like just ask yourself, how can I break this down? Pages in particular, like the more sections you can have, the more easy it's going to be for people to read. You can pull out your core points, your core sentences. You can put them in bold, you can underline them, you can put them in different colors. You can break stuff up with photos, with captions underneath. There's loads and loads of ways to do this, but it's just about getting mindful and intentional so that stuff doesn't look like really, really hard work to read, if that makes sense. And like I said, the easiest thing to do is just press enter, press enter, press enter, press enter, and just get more white space in there. It's so simple, but honestly, it really, really can transform how it looks and therefore how people read it, and then your conversion rates, because more people are going to get to the end. So really, really simple, but it definitely helps. So we've read it aloud. We have made it shorter and snappier. We've got rid of those big long sentences. We've broken it down. We've pressed enter. We've maybe put some subheadings in there. We've got some more white space. I like bullet points. Bullet points are good because what a lot of people will do, and I'm sure we're all the same, if you hit a sales page, you hit an email, you hit a blog, whatever it is, you'll skim read it, won't you? We all do it, or most of us do it. We'll skim through it first, and then if it looks interesting enough, we'll generally scroll back up and read all of the words. So if you put subheadings in, if you put bullet points in, if you put stuff in bold, people can get the gist when they skim read of what you're trying to say to them so much more easily, so that they're much more likely to then go back to the start and read it in more detail. And if they don't, they've still got the point of it, because when they've skim read it, you've just broken it down and made it easier for them to see what you're talking about. So you've broken it down. Now, again, this next one here might sound ridiculously simple, but stick with me. It's to use the contractions, and there's loads of reasons for doing this. Again, I don't know if anybody else has watched Bridgerton. I just find it hilarious. But Bridgerton, if you haven't seen it, it's set in like 1813, I think, the same year that Pride and Prejudice was written. So the language is very, very formal. And Tim, my partner, we were watching it the other night, and Tim said, "Oh God, look, like, I can't believe how formal they sound. Do people really talk like that?" And I was like, well, I don't know. I presume so. But the way that they talk, if you've watched it, it's I should be doing this, or and what we want to be doing is getting the contractions in there, using the shortened versions of these words, because it instantly makes it less formal, and it instantly reduces your word count as well, and makes it easier to read, but it makes it sound like more of a chat, a conversation, like I say, between you and that other human being who is reading your blog or whatever on their phone. So all we're doing is we're using the contractions, we're turning 2 words into 1. And again, especially, like I say, for those of us who are in corporate or legal or education or whatever, it's a habit. It is totally a habit. But instead of saying I have, they will, did not, could not, should not, we're just using I'll, they'll, didn't, wouldn't, couldn't, shouldn't, etc., etc. You can even go less formal than that if you want to use gonna, wanna, coulda, shoulda, and that's completely a judgment call on whether that's right for you, your voice, your business, your audience. But why not? I use wanna a little bit. And it's just when you read it aloud and you read it back through, just making sure that instead of saying did not, could not, we are using those contractions, because again, it just makes it less sluggish. It makes it more dynamic. It makes it less formal. It's such a simple thing to do, but it can completely transform the feel of your copy. And then another little quick tip here is the word and. So the word and, again, it's a filler word. It's a necessary filler word, but you can just swap the word and for either a plus sign or the ampersand sign. So if you are writing sales copy, maybe you've got a brochure or a sales page, money language is really, really powerful. Like, we never want to say cost or price. We always want to be talking about your investment. And using words like save and spend in your copy is so powerful. But the plus sign is an add sign. So if you've got a sales page and you're telling people what they're going to get, it sounds like you're stacking it up, and it weirdly makes it look more valuable. So that's just a little trick. But if you are writing, like if you've got paragraphs, whatever it is that you're writing, just switching the word and for the ampersand sign, it links the sentences together. It almost acts like punctuation in the middle of the sentence. But again, what it does for your copy is it makes it look easy to consume, and it keeps the eye traveling forward. So yeah, just really, really, really easy to do. And I know there's quite a lot to take in here. Obviously, we don't have to do all of this. You've got the checklist if you want it. Just doing one or two of these things can really, really help. But it's such a simple thing to do. But yeah, it really, really can make the difference. Yeah, okay. Let's have a tiny quick check in with the chat, and then we will move on. Demetria says, I always feel too informal. That's absolutely fine. Like I say, there's no right or wrong with this. If it feels too informal, like don't do it. I don't overuse it, because I think it can seem a bit weird if you overuse it. And I probably wouldn't use it on a oh no, I have got it on sales pages actually. I use it more in blog posts and social media posts. But it's just about what's right for you and your voice. And obviously you guys are all, you know, your clients are brides, they're taking their big day seriously. So maybe it's not right for you. Whereas for me, like, yeah, it's just different, isn't it? Contraction so much easier for Americans. That is so true, isn't it? Yeah, and I completely agree. As a celebrant, it's probably not appropriate. Yeah, totally a balance to strike with the tone of voice. Yeah, exactly that. Megan says, does always apply for website copy and blog copy too? Yeah, it applies for everything. Absolutely everything that you write, literally everything. Because again, if somebody hits your website and you've got these massive blocks of text, they're just going to click back off again. So yeah, applies to everything. Okay. So we've read it aloud. We've made it shorter and snappier. We've broken it down and added more white space. And we've put some bullet points in, you know, taken a paragraph and put it into bullet points. We've got the contractions. So the final thing we're going to do, and this is kind of more advanced, but it's to swap in your power words. I love power words. So power words, they're not like cliches. They're not buzzwords, although they might be. They're not generally buzzwords. They're generally results focused words that hold power for your ideal clients. So for example, if I had a client, or I was chatting to somebody in our membership the other day, and she's a hairdresser, and the word glossy is big for her audience. Like if she talks about, you know, glossy hair, that's what people want rather than shiny, or it's just got that power. So the way to do this for me is just to think about those words that have a deeper emotional connection, a deeper emotional resonance with your ideal clients. So for their big day, what do they really, really want? How do they want to feel? Like what words kind of flip the switch? What words really encapsulate that for them? So some ways to kind of figure this out, you can just start thinking about it and just start brainstorming a list. They might be words that you say all the time. So it might be listening to yourself, watching some Zooms back or watching some lives, might be going through your testimonials and seeing what your clients say, because what we really want to be doing in our copy is reflecting back to our ideal clients what they're thinking in their own heads. That's that's kind of where we're getting to with this. It's the words that make people feel something. Like go and have a look in bridal forums, go and have a look in communities where your ideal clients hang out, and just get a feel for the kind of language that they're using, so that we can just start working more of these words into our copy. Because again, this is all about getting that deeper level of emotional connection. So don't stress this, don't worry about this, but as you go through this process, you may well find there are certain words that if you just use them in your copy have more power than other words, and that's what we're getting to. Okay, so we've done our brain dump. We've gone through these 5 stages. It's starting to look kind of better. Before we move on, what I would say, and this is again, yeah, I have a 3 reads rule. Okay, so if you're writing stuff that's got longevity and that directly makes you money, so for your sales pages, for your website copy, for your sales funnels, if you've got funnels out there, then obviously those things have more longevity, they matter more. So for those things, you might want to spend more time and energy on the editing process. But for the more day-to-day stuff, for the posts, for the blogs, for the emails, for the stuff that's just kind of one time and done, I have a 3 reads rule. So you're allowed to write it, You're allowed to read it aloud and go back through it 3 times, play with it, tweak it, all of this stuff. And then you have to just get it out there. You have to click post, you have to click send, you have to schedule it, you have to click publish. 3 reads, 3 rounds of playing, and then you get it live. Because again, the overthinking thing, the slight perfectionism thing, the danger here is that now you've got this stuff. The danger here is that you spend so long, like if it takes you 3 days to get a blog live, and believe me, I've got people in my membership that it used to take 3 days to get a blog live. It takes you 2 hours to write an email. If you're agonizing over these posts, the worst that happens is that then we completely overthink it and we delete it and we don't show up at all. So for me, it's 3 rounds of editing, 3 read-throughs, 3 lots of tweaking to make it better, and then it goes. And you know what? It's not going to be perfect. It can always be better. Of course it can, but you're showing up, and that is 100% the main thing. The biggest way to screw up your copy is not to put it out there. That's the bottom line. And if you're coming from a good place, a place of service, a place of sharing what you know, a place of doing some good in this world and helping your clients to have an amazing day, then that's enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done and out there. Okay. So we've written it, we've edited, we've tweaked it. Then what we want to do is just go back and think more clearly about the start and the end, because those really are key. The start's really important, because if somebody hits your blog and we don't grab their attention straight away, they're going to bounce back off, then it's not going to convert, and they're never going to get to the end. And then at the end, we need to make sure it's driving that action. Like I say, write the bulk of it first, then write the end, and then go back and write the start. So let's talk about the end. So you've written your blog, your email, your post, whatever it is, and we want to give people a next step. And like I say, this is not about being salesy. This is not about being pushy. This is not about feeling icky. My favorite call to action in the whole wide world is, if you're ready to take the next step, click here now to. You're ready to take the next step, click here now to book a call in my diary. If you're ready to take the next step, click here now to get in touch. Click here now to whatever it is that you want them to do. If you're ready to take the next step. Really, really simple, feels really nice and aligned, and it works. So what I've included here, again, it's not to get hung up on this. What I've included here for you is a little quick formula for writing your calls to action to go at the end of your blog, your email, whatever it is. So generally, the main thing is just tell them what to do next. So spell out what to do. Click here now to book a call in my diary. Click here now to get started, whatever it is. If you want to, you can recap the benefit. So you can remind them of the benefit of taking action, which always helps. So if you're ready to stop worrying and start doing this instead, click here now too. So you can recap the benefit if you want to. And then adding some urgency in your call to action is always a really great idea as well, because you've got them. They've read it. They've read your email. They've made it to the end. They're at the end of your blog, your sales page, whatever it is. We need to get them taking that next step now, because they've got 50,000 tabs open. They've got messages popping in. They've got the telly on. They've got the kettle boiling. They've got the baby crying, whatever it is. And if they don't take action in that moment, the chances are that you're going to lose this chance. So adding some urgency, like just simply using words like now, like click here now to, or today, or if you've got limited availability, if you've only got space to work with 3 more brides, if you've, if you've got an offer that's ending, like anything you can, but not fake BS urgency, because I hate that, but genuine urgency. Anything that you can do to compel people to do it now, tell them. Like, that's not being salesy. Tell them, get it in your call to action. And we really only want 1 call to action per thing that we do. So we need to get clear on what that is before we start. But we really only want to send people to do 1 thing, because confusion kills action. So if you say to people, click here now to read another blog post, click here now to join my email list, click here now to book a call, click here now to do this, click here to follow me on Instagram. It's like, well, what do you want me to do? And it just won't convert. So get really, really clear on the 1 thing that you want them to do. It doesn't always have to be sales. So it might be selling them something, but it might be joining your Facebook community. It might be getting on your email list. It might be downloading a freebie. It doesn't have to be a sales call to action. Just get really, really clear on what that next step is. Generally, we only want 1. You might get away with 2 if you have a primary call to action and a secondary call to action. So your primary call to action might be click here now to book a call with me. And your secondary call to action might be, or click here to follow me on Instagram, for people that aren't ready to take that first step. But definitely no more than 2, and ideally just 1. So the golden rules with the call to action, just make it really clear, really firm, and really direct. like you've showed up, you've sent them this email, you've added some value, you've shared what you know, you've made them an offer. Like, just don't shy away from giving them that next step. It's not their job to read between the lines and try and figure out what you want them to do. Like, I saw a social post recently on Facebook for somebody that is offering something I need in my business. No call to action. All I wanted to do was book a call with her. She hasn't got a website up yet. I had to trawl, and I mean trawl, through her social media to find a link. And actually that just really inconveniences me. So giving people that next step is another act of service. You're helping people to get the solution that they need. And when they work with you, it's going to be amazing. So don't shy away from giving them that next step. So that's the end. So we've written it. We've got a call to action at the end. If you're ready to take the next step, click here now to book a call in my diary. I'd love to talk about how I can help you have the day you've always dreamed of, or whatever. And then what we want to do is just go back and work on that first 10% to hook them in. Now, this can be the most tricky bit, I know. So a great way to start your emails, your blogs, your sales pages, everything you write, is to ask a question that you know your ideal clients are going to agree yes to in their own heads. If you ask people a question and they answer yes in their own heads, they are almost opting into reading your thing. It's a psychological thing, but they are almost, it instantly flicks that switch that this is for me. This is right for me. I need to read this because it's going to help me. So some ideas here for those questions. It could be ever feel completely overwhelmed when it comes to finding, ever feel completely overwhelmed when it comes to organizing your wedding? Or when you sit down to write your blogs, but the words just won't flow? Or wish you could find the perfect venue for your wedding day, but nothing feels quite right. That kind of thing. Want to know how to, so I've got a wanna in there, but you could go with want to know how to choose the perfect bouquet for your big day. Like, these questions get people saying, well, yeah, I want to know the answer. And then you can tell them how you're going to help them. So ever feel completely overwhelmed when it comes to organizing your wedding? This week's blog is really going to help. We're talking 5 simple ways to find the perfect to find the perfect venue, so you can have the day you've always dreamed of. Does that make sense? There's, like I said, there's some prompts on the checklist there for you, but just asking that question that you know they're going to answer yes to, and then tell them that this blog is going to help, tell them that this email is going to help. Obviously, if it's a sales page, you're not going to do that, but still having a question at the start, ready to, want to know how to write amazing copy, ready to, whatever it is that you're offering. It's such a powerful, powerful way just to get that couple of little sentences in, but you're immediately getting people's attention and you're immediately getting them to think, yeah, I need this. I'm going to keep reading this because I understand how this thing is going to help me. So that's your opening lines. And then the final thing that we want to do is come up with a headline, a title, a subject line if it's an email. So if it's a sales page, it's going to need a headline. If it's a blog, it's going to need a title. Obviously, social posts, not so much. But actually, the first line of a social post really, really matters to hook people in. So yeah, subject lines. There is actually a really, really great tool. Let me pop it in the chat for you. How do I send chat to everyone? There we go. It's called subjectline.com. There we go. Subjectline.com. It is a free tool, and it works better on a desktop. It doesn't always work that well on a mobile if you have any problems with it. But you can come up with some. So I always write headlines and subject lines last. So write the blog, the email, the piece first, then come up with your headlines and your subject lines. Once you've got some ideas for your email subject lines, you can copy and paste them into subjectline.com, and it will score them against over 7 million other email subject lines, and it will give you some ideas to improve it. So adding urgency, or maybe it's too long, so it gets cut off on a mobile. It scores it out of 100 for you. My superpower is getting any subject line scoring 100 instantly. It's just practice. Honestly, I do it so much. But then just try and get it scoring as close to 100 as you can. If it scores less than 80, then keep playing with it until it scores a little bit more highly for you. Obviously, it's not that intelligent, so it doesn't take into account whether your subject line is actually talking about the stuff that your ideal clients are interested in. But besides that, it's just a really, really good little tool to help you get more emails open so that you can get those conversion rates up. Okay, let me just have some coffee. I've been talking a lot recently. My throat's getting a bit sore. Okay, so 3 quick ways to write compelling headlines. So headlines, subject lines, titles. The first thing to tell, just some ideas for you. And then I've got a list of 27 headlines that you can just take away and use straight away. 26, sorry. So 3 headlines that really work. Titles, subject lines. Number 1, solve a problem. So you know what your ideal clients are struggling with. 3 steps to, 5 ways to, how to. Tell them how you're going to help them solve a problem. If they've got that problem, they're likely to read it. Easy. Number 2 is to shortcut their results. So this is about speed. So the fastest, the quickest, the shortest. We all want to save time. And the third thing to do is to pique their interest, pique their curiosity with words like secrets or revealed, those kind of things. So you can see these in action here. So all I did was brain dump a list of 26 headline title ideas for you here. How to tell if, how to stop, 1 thing you need to know, the truth about, how to 8 or 5 odd numbers work well, easy steps, how to plan your wedding the right way, how to find a quick guide to, a complete guide to, a beginner's guide to, the ultimate guide to, where you've got hashtag signs here, these are numbers. So 3 mistakes I made, 3 secrets to, 3 signs you might, 3 essential things for. There's just some ideas for you here. But like I say, when it comes to headlines, subject lines, titles, it is always, always, always best, I think, write it first, and then you can come back and play with some title ideas. Sometimes I'll brainstorm, especially for sales pages and things that have a bit more longevity. Sometimes I'll brainstorm 20 different ideas before I get to the right one. Because this alone can make the difference between somebody reads your thing or not, reads your blog, opens your email. Okay. So that's kind of where we are. So yeah, really, really quick summary. Get it down on the page first, write the meat of it, read it aloud, listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth, start to make it shorter and snappier, break it down, take out those commas, replace them for full stops. Think about the white space, pressing enter, getting more white space on the page, making sure you're using the contractions so it sounds less formal. Thinking about those power words that have got real emotional resonance for your ideal clients, then making sure that you've got a really clear, direct and firm call to action. If you're ready to take the next step, click here now to, then asking a question maybe at the start to hook them in, and then finally making sure that you've got your headline or subject line or title right. Now, I know we've covered quite a lot today. Even if you only take 1 or 2 things away, like we don't have to do all of this, it's all a process, isn't it? So I hope that's been a little bit helpful. Let me have a little check in with the chat. Shall I stop sharing my screen now so I can see you all? Yay, let's do that. Okay. Yay. Okay, where are we? Okay. Oh, hey, Manny, I didn't know you were here. My SEO got so much better in blogs after following your tips. So it's lovely to see you. Yay, yay, yay. Cool, Emma's jumped off. Power words, are these the same keywords in relation to SEO? No, they're not. So I am not a fan of SEO. I'm going to be honest. I had an argument with an SEO person about this the other day. So there are various sites out there where you can obviously do your keyword research. I think it depends on your strategy and your business. So for me, I don't get a lot of cold traffic. And I think this is where I argue with people. My thing is that Google is so crowded now. If you're not spending substantial amounts of money on search with Google Ads, then organic search, it's really almost impossible to get found. So for me, my blogs, my content, for most of my clients, the way that people get to that is not through Google, it's through your social media. It's through seeing you go live, it's through Pinterest, it's through Clubhouse, it's through wherever you're showing up. So for me, it's more important that when they hit that blog, it resonates, it creates desire and it converts. If you are talking about the things that matter to your ideal clients in your content and your blogs, it's automatically going to be packed full of keywords. So that's kind of my approach to it. I don't worry about trying to cram keywords in. If, on the other hand, your strategy is all about organic search and you are investing in pay-per-click and you want to get found on Google, then it is a different strategy, isn't it? Then it's about really doing your keyword research, making sure that you're ranking for the right things. And obviously with your website, it makes sense to make sure that not so much in your blogs, but in kind of the main body copy on your website, that the right keywords are there. Of course, that makes sense. But for me personally, I'm not going to worry about writing blogs from an SEO perspective. I'm going to worry about writing stuff that my audience love, that connects and that converts, if that all makes sense. But it just depends on your strategy, doesn't it? Hope that helps. Procrastinate. Yeah, it's interesting you're talking about it tonight, Kelly. We were chatting about it yesterday in our membership. Because I majorly procrastinated on stuff in November and December, and I couldn't figure out why I was procrastinating. And actually, it's just because it felt out of alignment. It wasn't quite right. There was a piece of the puzzle that was missing. And now I figured it out. It's like all guns blazing. So if you procrastinate on blogs, maybe it's because blogs aren't your thing. Maybe it would make more sense to go live on your page. Maybe you're a talking person rather than a writing person. So maybe instead of trying to force yourself to do blogs, it makes more sense to go live on your page, transcribe it, use that as the basis of a blog, or download that from your page and stick it onto your website as a blog with just a little bit of text around it. Maybe blogging's not your thing. I don't know. I just think that if you don't I think it's about energy for me. Your words have got energy and people can sense that energy. And if you have to force yourself to sit there and write stuff and you don't really want to, and it doesn't really flow, people can feel that, and it doesn't connect, and I don't know. Okay, so call to action. Joe says, how can you end for limited spaces available? So for example, I sent out an email this morning and the call to action was to book a session. And I think I said something like, talked about the sessions. And I think I said something like, click here now to book, or here's where you can book a session now. And then I put in brackets, spaces are already filling up fast for February, or something like that. So again, this doesn't have to be, just tell the truth. It doesn't have to be pushy. It doesn't have to be salesy. If you've only got room for, you could say, but hurry, the diary's already filling up fast, or, but don't miss out, I've only got room to work with 3 more brides this August, or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be pushy and salesy. It's just like, what would you say? What would you say to me? What would you say to somebody on Messenger? What would you say to somebody on Zoom? How would you actually say that in real life? And then just say that, I think. Okay. Joe says, need to have a look and rewrite everything. Do you know, it's never done, is it? It's never ever done. It's never done. It's just a constant evolution of writing stuff, isn't it? Last blog was 87. That's awesome. Idea of subject line has blown my mind. Honestly, it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, completely. Kelly says, give your nurture sequence. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know enough, but I'm sure it's a huge point that Kelly's made there. I think the initial inquiry response, I guess, is more because it's just completely one-to-one and it's completely bespoke and it's more for your weekly mail outs and stuff. Yeah, totally. Let's just have, right. Has anybody got any final questions? List of topics. Get writing my coffee. It's my least favorite job normally. I'm so pleased. That's amazing. Is there a recommended amount of copy you'd have on a homepage? Keep it short and sweet. Really short and sweet. We've just got our new website about to go live. I've agonized so for that copy. There's a copywriter, you feel like being judged for every single word you ever write. But yeah, honestly, I don't do it now, but in the past I've worked with clients and like they just want so much. And yeah, the key, especially with homepage copy, get to the point, keep it short and sweet, hook them in, tell them how you're going to help them, get really clear on when you sign and where you want to signpost them, but short and sweet is the key. Totally. Would you recommending rewriting blog posts that have paragraphs? No, I just recommend writing blog posts that are easier to read moving forwards. If you've got a spare hour on a rainy afternoon, you could absolutely go back through and tweak them and maybe update them, maybe change the title, maybe add some more current information. You can then re-release, republish them. It gives you more content to share, but I wouldn't sweat it because I think it's all a process and we just evolve, don't we? And we just get better and better at this stuff. So I would focus on what you could do, I suppose, Megan, is if you've got a couple of blogs that got the most traction, so if you've got a couple of blogs that you know are most popular, got the most views, maybe go back in, have a play with those, re-release them, share them again. So I think so many people write a blog and then forget, and it's just done. And actually, you can keep sharing that blog for the next year if it's relevant. I would suggest.
Amazing. Well, I think that was super useful. I'm reading all the comments as well. People are saying it was amazing. It was so helpful. Loved this. So useful. Fabulous. People really finding this super useful, Laura. I'd love to know, guys, what's the one thing you're taking away? What's the one action that you're going to actually take from the session and put into action? Just pop it in the comments now, so it's kind of clear in your head. Right, I'm gonna do this. This is my action. So we definitely move forward. Jack is going to use the checklist. Laura, make things short and sweet. Veronica, really interesting. Sean, everything to be fair. What does that mean, Sean? Did I misread that? Neha, do the headline last, not first. I'm bad for that, actually, Neha. So I will definitely start moving that around. Suzanne, rewrite the copy on the website. Clara, brain dump and middle first. I agree, Clara. That's definitely one for me. Call to action. Nicola, all of it. Lucy, open with questions. Yeah, the nod factor. We love that, don't we? Get people nodding with you. Joe, need to rewrite my February newsletter. So it's come at the right time. Yes. Veronica, just write it. Absolutely. Just crack on, get it done. Don't overthink it. Progress, not perfection, Laura, was our recent.
Totally. It's my mantra.
Yeah, was our recent one in the last few weeks. And you wouldn't believe so many of our members are messaging me going, I needed to hear that. Progress, not perfection. Demetria saying, thanks, Laura. It was great takeaways to start with the middle. I agree. That's definitely my big takeaway as well. Going to work on the sales page. Mary, stop rereading time and time again. Yeah, we definitely do that. Megan, gonna and wanna. Megan's going for it. And Megan is a professional writer, so I imagine that she's also got that formal style often because it's probably been trained into her. So I love that. Brilliant. Well, guys, Laura was amazing, wasn't she? Thank you so much. We really appreciate the time. I can see everybody's taken loads from it. I'm sure there'll be lots watching on replay as well. Yeah, loads of people saying they absolutely loved it. Any final things from you, Laura? Or where can they follow you? Over on Insta? Where should we follow?
Facebook group. I'm not on Instagram. I'll pop, is it okay if I pop the link in, Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go. There we go. That's our Facebook group. It's completely free, obviously, but that's where we go live every Friday at 10 o'clock. And there's a live on there, something to do with copywriting. So last week, I think it was about the biggest pitfalls to avoid, which is some of the bits and pieces we've talked about today. But yeah, you're so welcome there if anybody fancies it.
And we've been doing quite a lot on nurture sequences and emails and things like that. So if they downloaded your checklist, will they also now start to get your emails?
Yeah, if you've downloaded, I can. Does anybody need that link again?
So guys, even though like obviously it's useful to be getting that copywriting stuff, but also all the things we've been learning about creating our own nurture sequences and our own emails going out weekly.
Yeah.
Look at what Laura's doing. Take inspiration from some of the language and things she's sharing. It doesn't always have to be kind of huge sales or huge teaching. There's other things we can share. So I think that would be really useful to kind of have a little look at what you're up to.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, if you get the checklist, then you'll start getting there's a link if you don't want to get them. That's absolutely cool. You'll start getting, it's called the Copy Fix. It comes out every week. Just me banging on about bits and pieces to do a copy. There's one going out tonight, which is about overthinking. But yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is, I think overthinking is just huge, isn't it? And procrastinating, and just, like Kelly said, done is better than perfect. And just recognizing that, you know what, not every email has to be world class. Not every post has to bare your soul and change the world. Not everything has to be amazing. It just has to be done and out there, because if we're not, the only way to get copy wrong is not to do it. Because if we're not showing up, people don't know you exist. If you're not staying top of mind, there's no way they're ever going to buy from us. And, the only way to get it wrong is not to show up. And if it comes from a good place, and it comes from a place of service, and you're just being you, I don't think you can go too far wrong, really.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thanks in the comments. We really appreciated it. And guys, if you're joining us, I know we've got 2 sessions today. Don't worry if you can't join both. So this evening, 8 p.m. UK time, we've got that procrastination session over in the Facebook group. Everything, as always, on replay. Thank you so much. And guys, I will see you later for those joining. Take care. Bye.
Thanks so much, guys.